dream clients. If you want to get more dream clients, like people that you love working with, into your coaching business, I'm going to walk you through the fundamental principles that help me do it in hopes that it'll also help you. Depending on how long you've been running a coaching business, you may or may not care if you get dream clients. Maybe you're in an earlier stage where you're just like, give me clients, please. I want to work with people so I can generate some cash flow, so I can help some people, I can get some transformations under my belt. And maybe you've been in business for whatever, a year, 2 years, 3 years, or more, and you know clearly there's a difference between ideal clients, like people that you love working with, and non-ideal. Now, there's a frame that I heard, and I don't remember what book this was. This is back when I was running a fitness center still. But the concept of this book was really helpful for me, and it had me look at all of the people I've worked with or could work with and rate them under the lens of A, B, or C clients. So A clients are like people that you love working with, absolute dream clients that you feel so fulfilled, right? They pay you, you love helping them, they get amazing transformations, they refer people to you. It's just absolute dream. And then there's B clients who they're like, okay, you don't hate working with them. They're not your favorite, but they get, pretty good results. You feel pretty fulfilled. But it's like right? And then there's C clients. C clients are like, you're like, no, please, these are definitely my non-ideal clients. Do not like working with them. They are they agitate me sometimes. They complain all the time. Like, I definitely don't like working with these kinds of people. Now, no judgment or anything, but like, if you can have a world where you only had A clients, like, what would that be? Who would they be? Okay, so just kind of think through that lens. I remember, like, when I was a personal trainer in a gym, for example, right? Like, they would just dish you any clients that you didn't really get to choose. At least I didn't. And that I worked for an LA Fitness, a big box gym, and you would work with anybody. And this is when I first had like that inkling of like, man, I really love working with these kinds of people, which at the time were like people that were professionals. They were more business minded, entrepreneurial, because that's what I was, right? So I resonated with them. And then when I started my own boot camps and eventually a fitness center, a gym, and all kinds of people coming out. And over time, at the beginning, it was just like kind of take on anybody that is willing to pay and is willing to do the work to get results. And that's what it was for a while. But over time, you realize, like, man, like, there's a massive difference when it comes to the fulfillment of your business and I think the longevity of your business with who you are actually serving. Because if like you're serving people that just they're not your favorite, right? You're not going to end up being able to serve them to the best of your ability, and there's going to be a low lifetime value, LTV of that client. And so when I went into my online business, I really took these principles. So when I first launched an online fitness business in 2019, September of 2019, the first client that I had, I thought was ideal, but he definitely wasn't. And I remember right there, like that stress that it put me through, I was like, okay, I know exactly who I'm going to serve, right? And I was able to really pinpoint down, and it matters a lot. It really does. And I'm going to walk you through some things. Eventually, I was able to like really dial in, like, this is who I really want to serve. And it went all the way back to like when I was working in a big box gym. I recognized that entrepreneurial business owner minded person at the time that just wanted to lose some weight. Leading into like some things that have helped me be able to cultivate marketing and cultivate offers and things that really attract them is, firstly, you got to understand that there's a different psychology when it comes to your dream client. Right over here, if you're watching this, you can see this. It's a little pyramid. If you're listening, I'll just kind of guide you through this. It's a pyramid, and it's called dream client psychology. On the very base of the pyramid, the very bottom, is your niche, right? This is the wide variety of people that you can help. Typically, there's a lot of people in this niche, right? But there's not a lot of money in it. You're gonna this is where people are competing, and it's so noisy and loud, especially on social media. Then you have like what I would call like a quality lead. This is where it starts to get a little bit smaller in the niche. You start to like really sub niche, and there's less people there, but there's typically more money. And then there's dream clients, right? So this is like where you're carving out your own sub niche, and there's going to be less people, but more quality and way more money you'll make over the long term. And if I had to give you an example here, right? Say you're helping moms lose weight. The niche would be like, I help women lose weight. The sub niche would be, I help moms lose weight and fix their hormones. Pretty good, right? The dream client might be like, I help moms lose belly fat, fix their hormones through quick 30-minute at-home workouts and flexible dieting, right? That's the dream client. You want somebody that loves that. That's what you love to be able to fulfill. Does that make sense? And so that's at the core, and we're going to dive a little bit more into messaging in just a second, but that's key. Now, the first big principle that I want to share with you now on more of the attraction side of you actually being able to attract them in is your story is your superpower. Like truly, through and through. Your story is the one thing that makes you unique. If you think about it right now, statistically speaking, factually speaking, there are over 615 million posts and things being published on the internet every single minute right now. It's nuts, right? Information itself is a commodity. And so if you're just out there trying to just do the spray and pray and post and pray type stuff on social media and you're hoping that it's going to work, in my experience at least, hope is not the best strategy. Like you could hope all you want and you might get some clients, dream clients here and there, but it's not consistent and it's not predictable. I remember a season to where I was posting content like crazy. I was DMing people. This was when I first went online, 2019, 2020. And yeah, I was getting some clients. I was making a little bit of money, but it was really inconsistent. And like that stress was just burning me out. I was always stressed. It's like some weeks I would have my calendar filled with calls. Other weeks it would be complete crickets. And it was almost insurmountable. Like I was just like, I can't deal with this. It's either having to find like a way to get a part-time job or just going all in and figuring this out. And I remember this principle that I learned while going on to American Ninja Warrior, and I've shared this many times, but the process to get on the show American Ninja Warrior is you submit a 3-minute video. In that video, they want you to demonstrate your energy, like for camera. They want you to show your skills, right? That you actually know, that you could do things, and your story. And the story is the most powerful piece. That's what actually gets people chosen on the show. And the same thing is true in your content, in your marketing, is when you can communicate your story in a way that is compelling to people, that essentially bridges the gap from that struggle that they're in to the transformation that they want. Your story is essentially what makes you unique, and it helps bridge the gap for them. It influences them. It inspires them to take action. So really knowing how to communicate your story in a way that is resonant to them, that is relevant to them, and that influences them to take action is so key. Okay. The second thing is your messaging. Your messaging it matters big time. And we just briefly went into parts of that messaging, which come down to like how you say the right words in the right way to the right people, those A clients, those dream clients. And there's a difference in just speaking to a niche, speaking to maybe like a bigger sub niche, or really speaking to a smaller sub niche or even a micro niche. Okay. And so if you think about it, like you could, knowing what you know, right? You could post content, you could DM, you can run ads, and it can work, but at what cost, right? Whenever I see people doing that, it's like they could do that and they can literally, at some point, people are just like, dude, I just need some relief from this. And as soon as like I could show people how to like dial in their messaging, basically saying the right words in the right way to the right people, all of their marketing becomes more effective. They start getting more of the right people engaging, and they start getting more people opting in to their call to actions or responding to their call to actions. I know I've consulted influencers in the health and fitness space that have hundreds of thousands of followers, and they're barely making any money. They're getting plenty of leads, right? They have plenty of people engaging with their stuff, but 90% of them, 95% of the leads are not ideal clients. They're not people that are wanting to spend money on high ticket. And so it shifts their decision making. It shifts their behaviors, because now they're like creating these low ticket products and they're stressed out and it's so inconsistent versus like, somebody like my business. I do not have a big following at all. Right. And I've been able to make far more than a lot of these influencers that have these really big followings. And the secret is my messaging is very targeted to who I want to serve and who I want to work with. Right. So absolutely key. And the 20% of messaging that produces 80% of the results is based, pretty much what we just talked about, narrowing it down to a very specific person or problem that you're solving, and then really getting clear on like what symptoms is that person experiencing. What is he or she complaining about to their coworkers or their friends or their family, right? What actions are they currently taking to solve that problem that they're in? What beliefs do they currently have that they think are keeping them stuck? See, all of this has to come from their head. The more you can speak from what's going on in their head, the more powerful your marketing is going to become to them, right? Because listen up, the weaker your marketing, the harder sales are going to be. And you can write that down. The weaker your marketing, the harder the sales. The stronger your marketing, the easier the sales become. And this is a big key to that. Now, the next big piece here is very, 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 very important is you have to have a unique solution, right? You have to have a unique way that you help people get results. And this is something I teach. This is like what we call a magic messaging makeover, right? It's like magic hands, magic messaging makeover. But it's really important, right? You just have to have a unique way because this is what helps you stand out. This is what helps you attract those dream clients. Russell Brunson talks about this as the new opportunity, right? So these are some of like the 20% of messaging that produce 80% of the results. And the more specific you can get, the more tangible you can get, the more concrete you can get, the more it's going to attract the right people. Because if you think about it, right, people are scrolling on social media and your stuff has to stop their scroll. And so the more specific and relevant and relatable it can be to them, the more that hook can really capture their attention, the more they're going to stop the scroll. The third big piece here is, that's how you start to attract the right leads in. You start to attract the right engagement in to be able to actually get more inbound traffic in, right? To attract more dream clients into your inbox, to respond to your emails or whatever it may be, is running conversion content campaigns. It's so key. I've done videos on this before, but basically, right, information is a commodity. So we know post and praying is not a strategy, but when you have a systematic way, a strategic way to be able to post your content in a way that creates demand, that gets people excited, right? That maybe leads people to a YouTube video or a live training or a masterclass or a workshop or something like that, right? It's going to help you get more of the right people into your system, into your funnel, into your offer. The big keys with conversion content campaigns is being able to have a really good hook that's going to stop the scroll, right? This is important. This is why you want to know your dream client psychology. And then being able to have a good call to action that's enticing, that's compelling, that's going to want them to consume. And so the secret here is we want them to consume long form content. You know, gone are the days where you could just post short form and it's going to work. And arguably it's never worked. Like short form content is great to be able to like get people's attention, right? To like wake them up, get that little dopamine hit, but you want to lead people to long form content. And that's what a really good campaign will do. It hooks people in, right? It's a mix of short form and medium form content, if you will, written in both short video and written, right? And we have good hooks, good call to actions that lead people to longer form content like this, where trainings or masterclasses I just alluded to. And that long form content is the key to be able to move people forward, right? Because it's not the length of time that somebody spends in your pipeline, so to speak, that makes them become a client of yours. It is the amount of content somebody consumes. Because the more, like, I have people all the time that will watch a YouTube video or they'll watch a training of mine and then they go watch a few more. And next thing you know, they've spent a couple hours consuming my content and they're like, hey, you've been really helpful. You've given me a lot of value. I trust you. They see me as an authority. And next thing I know, they're like interested in becoming a one-to-one client of mine, right? That's the power. And then from there, it's being and by the way, I like to run campaigns like that, like usually once a month. So I have some clients that will do it twice a month, but it depends on your goals and a lot of other factors, right? But and then the last thing, the fourth thing we'll talk about here is the nurturing process, right? You want to have a really good way to nurture your ideal clients. I call it a strategic content ecosystem, and it's basically where you want to make sure that because what happened this is the problem that we want to solve here. Most people will just they'll start to attract some of the right people in, but then their leads either buy or they like rot and die on this like list, right? Whether it's in Go High level or maybe no list at all, maybe just in the inbox, you see. And so what we want to do is we want to create, and this is what we do at least, is we have our main social media channel. So I primarily use Facebook, but I have clients that use Instagram, right? So you have a main social media channel. And then you want to use your email list. So having an email list is a fantastic way to be able to nurture and build relationships. Which, by the way, the word nurture, at least in my perception, I don't know what the actual definition is. I think it's to encourage the growth and development of. right? And so that's all we're trying to do is encourage the growth and development of, right? And so when we do that, what we do is we want to send people to longer form content. And so typically when somebody is under 5 clients per month, my advice to them is just have their main social media channel, right? And have an email list. And then on their main social media channel, they can do long form content like live trainings and master classes and things like that. And then once they're over 5 clients per month, I encourage, this is at least what we do, is having a YouTube channel that people can go and watch content on. And that way, what happens is you can send people from your Facebook or Instagram, you can promote it on your feed like I do or through stories, drive people to your YouTube videos. And via your email list, you could drive people to your YouTube videos, right? So all we're doing is we're taking our audience top of funnel and we're moving them to our email list, and we're moving them to our YouTube, and we're constantly building that list through various means that I teach inside the Client Attraction Accelerator. That's the key, right? So when we can have these components in here, it allows us to be able to attract dream clients on autopilot. So big takeaway here is that if you're just relying on, well, first of all, if you're just taking on anybody with a credit card and a pulse, there's maybe a season in business when you're first getting started that you do that, but that is not a strategy, at least in my experience, to grow. There was a point, man, we were doing like around 113, like we were between like $90,000 and $113,000 per month, and I was so stressed out. Like, we were making all that money, but I could tell you I was not like like I was not fulfilled, and the profit margins were kind of embarrassing, to be honest. And so I remember when I first like cut things down a couple of years, about a year and a half ago, we made less on paper in revenue, but we profited more, and I was more fulfilled because I was working with people that were ideal clients, that were like my dream clients, and so they were getting better results. I was feeling more fulfilled. It was a win-win. And so you got to look at it through that lens. Like, if you're just taking on anybody, at least in my experience, it could become a very stressful business very fast. Secondly, information is a commodity. So if you're just kind of pumping stuff out there and hoping that it works, good luck. In my experience, it doesn't work consistently and predictably. And so being able to like really know how to tell your story, right? Knowing how to really dial in your messaging. So you're speaking to your dream client psychology and having a unique mechanism or a new opportunity to get them, to buy into. Being able to have content campaigns where you're actually building demand for your content, and then being able to have a good nurture process, an ecosystem, if you will, to where you're really nurturing people in a variety of ways. That's the key. And so, relatively straightforward. If you have any questions, I hope this was helpful for you. If you have any questions, let me know. Make sure to hit subscribe if you found this helpful. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what your biggest takeaway was. And as always, remember, your message matters now more than it ever has before. Don't be afraid to speak it. As always, be seen, be heard, and be impactful.